Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Now, we said in the last one that we'd create consist and get it into train sim just to get it running under HUD control. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, first off, I've got all the IGS files, all the mesh files from Briage exported. Then we were working on this one, the DMCO engine blueprint. Okay, so what I did, I copied it and saved it out under the names of the other vehicles that are in the consist. Now, in doing that, you do have to change a couple of values. And one of them, let's go down here, one of them of course is in the render component. This needs to point to the IGS pertaining to the XML file, the engine blueprint. So for instance, the MSO one, this needs to change to MSO IGS. Okay, that's one of the things you need to change. The other is down here. It's in the interior interface. So apart from the drive vehicle, you want to delete the reference to the cab. So you've got this one here about the geometry, the cab geometry, and this one here about the cab camera. Okay, so you want to get rid of those. Now, another thing that you will need to do is this one here. I didn't put the mass in. Now you must do that because it will throw up an error. For me, it creates a memory dump. So I go to load it, and then I'll get that square box, white box saying memory dump exception da 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 da. Okay, so this cannot be 0. Okay, it has to be. It could even be 1, but it can't be 0. Which leads me to believe why, when they made this, they didn't default this to 1, because at least it wouldn't throw out an error then. But they didn't, and that will cause a problem. And while we're talking about errors, I have replaced the cab file and the vehicle file on the Google Drive. I put them on Sunday the 23rd. Okay, so if you got them before that, I put them on the evening of Sunday the 23rd. So if you downloaded them before that, get rid of those ones. Go and get the ones that are on the Google Drive now, because there were a couple of references, material references. Well, I think there was one material reference that was pointing to the wrong folder, and I went in and I noticed a couple of mesh nodes, node elements weren't correctly, didn't have correct naming convention. So I went in and I altered them to make sure, because like as not, when you go to output something here, and I'm going to just press export now, it should just export, no problem there. I'll just make myself disappear. Yeah, it said export succeeded. So what you generally find, if you get any problems exporting, is generally the same things. One of them is where you've duplicated things in Blender. It often puts the duplicate name as .001.002. Now, when that's exported, when you come into the IGS file in the blueprint, it sometimes throws up an error. It doesn't like that dot or full stop, or if you're across the pond, a period. It doesn't like that often, so you need to get rid of that and just sort of name it 01, 02, 03 without the period or full stop. Okay, so that's what you need to watch out for. Another thing is just scaling and rotation. Make sure you've reset those where they need resetting. So if you've turned something like that, and you know, it doesn't need that horizontal reference, then reset it to be 0 in that plane. and that way that will take away any errors, especially with dials and things like that. And scaling can affect in one of two ways. Scaling's often the object either becomes too big, or it disappears because of that. Because it's got large, you think it's gone, but it's not. It's behind you and very big. So you need to make sure that you check the rotation and scaling. Don't alter the rotation if you deliberately want that rotation, but where you've turned something from the vertical to the horizontal or vice versa, just reset it to be scaled at 0, 0, 0 in that plane, in that axis. Okay, so there are a couple of problems, and the other major problem when you're exporting from here is generally if you haven't created an ACE file for your textures. You need to make sure, because you can obviously work with JPEGs and everything in Blender, but you need to have the .ace format for the blueprint editor and for train sim. Okay, so you need to make sure those are correct. And make sure, like I say, make sure this is a setting. Some settings don't matter whether you've got anything in there or not, but some do matter. They don't tell you which ones matter, but they do matter. And this one, even if you just put 1 here, it would work, but 0, it won't work. But I worked them out that they're about 35 tons. It's about 274 tons for the complete 8-car or 8-coach vehicle consist. So working that out roughly, I worked out roughly about 30. I can't remember what I said, 35 tons. That was it. So 35 tons. The actual drive vehicle probably will be heavier, as will the things with motorised bogies. So, and again, of course, if I look here, it doesn't give you an SI unit of what that mass should be. I don't know why. As I've said before, it's been cobbled together at times. It probably started out very good, but over the years of cobbling extra bits on, some bits can become confusing. Okay, the other thing I noticed when I originally saved it out, the coaches didn't quite line up. So I think originally I put a figure here of the pivot points at being 10.43 or 10.23. Anyway, trial and error, I got them back to 10.15, and that worked. That they joined together and you couldn't see the join. So you might want to change that if you were copying the settings that I put in last time. Just change the pivot points to 10.15. Okay, so that's it. Nothing else really needs changing. Now I'm going to give names to things because sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to go class 700 tutorial. Okay, generally the ones that do matter are the display names, because that's what shows up in your drop down menu in the game. Okay, so that's it then. I have saved all these out. I've exported them all, so I know they're working. So I know the IGS is working from the blend file. So the blend file that's on the Google Drive is fine working. And so now this should be okay to make a consist. So let's go up and make that consist. So that is up here in, let me these are the sort of root folders in the product, which is add-on 01. The provider is TNM when you fill these out, and the product is add-on 01. Obviously yours is different to mine. That's me. But it's in that group of folders there, the ones with the nice little icons. If you followed the guide, developer's guide, it tells you what to name these folders, and you get these nice little icons. So what we want is this one marked preload. Okay, now I've got a consist for a 700 because obviously I'm making one for myself, made one for myself. So I've got a consist, an 8-car consist there. So we want to make a new one now for the tutorial. So I'm going to add new item, blueprint. Okay, now what we've got here, we've got consist and consist fragment, and the consist is one we want. But if you're doing a lot of chopping and changing of wagons and that, and groups of wagons, rather than have to keep typing in for say 6 concrete hoppers, you can make up a fragment of 6 concrete hoppers, and then you just bring the fragment into the consist rather than do the individual wagons. Okay, so it just saves time, but ours is a fixed 8-car or 12-car, so we might as well just do it in the consist blueprint. Okay, let's give that a name. Okay, and let's go class 700 tut, and we'll call it 8, and we'll go coach. Okay, I called in this one coach. I called the other ones car. This is a thing sometimes. In the UK we have our own names for a lot of things. The US it's quite different. But because of the nature of the mix and match now across continents, across different railway systems, you tend to mix and match the terminology often, or I do. So I'll call this coach because that's what it would normally be referred to, a coach, not a car. So there we go, and there is our consist blueprint. So let's start at the bottom because that's the one we can see. Now this is dual power, it's pantograph and it's third rail. Let's say, I don't know, I think these might be referenced somewhere when you're selecting consists and that, but I don't think it really matters. But I've got a feeling these come into being in 1916. 1916? No, that'd make them 100 odd years old. They'd be very good. Of course, I meant 20. That's the problem with being born in the last century. 2016, when they go out, I don't know. When you think rolling stock lasts one heck of a long time, it really does. It's quite amazing. More than a lot of other vehicles. Train rolling stock can go on for years. I know the Isle of Wight recently took on some new what were tube trains, and the stock they were using, I'm sure, was 1937 stock, you know, right up until last year. So absolutely amazing the length of time sometimes of the rolling stock. So okay, let's get back. Yeah, we've done that, we've filled that in, it's electric. Okay, now name. Now normally it's the display name that's the important one, but on this one it's not. You will get errors. You will find that you won't see your consist if you don't fill that loco name in. But let me just fill the this one in, and we'll go tutorial 8 coach. Okay, this is the one you normally think of filling in, but as I say, with this blueprint you must fill in this, otherwise it won't show up. It will not show up. Okay, consist entry, right, easy enough then. Let's we could either do all 8 or we'll copy and paste as we go along. So consist entry, then here we go. Let's fill out, and then most of it will be copy and paste. So it's TNM, that's me. The product is add-on 01. Okay, and the blueprint ID, let's go down, let's find the 700, and where is it? Yeah, test vehicle, 700 test vehicle, and it's DMCO. Okay, now you'll notice I don't know if I mentioned it, I don't think I did. I've also got DMCO ND, that's non-driver. Okay, so the drive vehicle will have an animated character in it, or even just a static character, whatever you want. Okay, so that's that one. We just need some more now. That's fine, and we'll copy that, paste it. Right, so the next one in the consist is the PTSO. Okay, so let's just change that, PTSO. Okay, pantograph toilet. So I always say second. I've said this before, haven't I? I always say second, but it's standard. It has been standard for about 30 odd years now, so it's standard open. Okay, so let's bring in another one, copy, paste. Okay, and this one is a TSO. Okay, actually that seems a bit silly in a way, but I'm sure that is the way it's lined up. It's drive vehicle, pantograph vehicle, and then the TSO, and then two MSOs. Okay, so this is the toilet. So you've got back-to-back toilets here, and then two without a toilet. I don't get that, but I may be wrong. Perhaps I'm wrong. Anyway, that's the TSO. So let's add another one. We'll copy that and paste. Okay, and this one's going to be MSO. Okay, we've got two MSOs. So copy and paste. Okay. Yep, so just make sure. Yep, and the next one's going to be another TSO. Okay, so now we're going to the other end of the vehicle, and oh, I didn't copy it. Let me copy that because I can't remember to move it. There we go. Paste. So we've got MSO. This should be a TSO. So let's change that. Okay, then another one. Now this should be let's paste. This will be the second pantograph unit. Okay, so this will be PTSO. Okay, and last will be the drive unit. So paste, and this is a composite unit, so DMCO. Yeah, okay, now these ones at the back end, for a start, you don't want the driving vehicle to be facing the same way as the other driving vehicle, so you've got a little tick box here saying flipped. It will flip it around the other way, so we definitely want that. We will also want it on our second pantograph, otherwise the pantograph will be at the wrong end. It will be nearest to the drive vehicle, whereas it sits at the other end. So that wants to flip, and we'll flip this TSO around as well. Okay, so that is it. There is our consist. Now if we've got it right, we should have 8 settings here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we've put the names in, we've put this information in. That should be it. So I'm going to export it, and let's see, it seems to have exported. I need to hide myself. Yes, it's exported, so that means the consist has been taken in, and so now we can actually go into Train Sim and check that this is working. Right, so there we go. We've got our consist. Now the only other thing we need to do is we want a picture and we want an explanation of the vehicle. So in the engine folder here, we want one marked loco information. Okay, it needs to be spelt like that, capital L and a capital I. Okay, loco information. It should have a folder here. Now I've got EN for English. If it's going to be in Russian, it wants to be RU, or French FR. Okay, this is English, and what it contains here is we've got an HTML file. That's going to be the description of the engine and the image of the engine. So if I bring that up, there you go. It's it's 256 by 128. Okay, a little thumbnail that you've seen when you've gone into the game and you bring up a vehicle. It will show you what it is, and that is it. Now I would advise you to save it from Blender. Save your image. If you're going to use an image that you've created, save it straight from Blender at the 256128 rather than save it out at HD and then squash it down, because it won't look so good. Whereas if you export it at that size, it look much better. So that's that one, and this is just a HTML. Let's open it up. There we go. This bit points to that image, and it wants to be image because it says image. You could change the HTML, I suppose, if you're okay with that, but it says image, so that's why that's called image. And there's the data on it. Okay, there's the data on it. And this is just what I do with this. If I let me show an Explorer, and if I find it, there we go, then I just use Notepad++, and I can edit the text for that. Okay, and that's what you want to do. I'll put these two on there so that you can use this one. So that's it. That's all that is. Let me minimize that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so that won't export. You can't export that. You'll have to copy that and paste it into your game side folder. Okay, so that's in assets with all the other assets from all the other providers. Okay, you'll have to copy and paste that. So that being the case, then we should be on a go there to see that consist. So I'm going to go to find that folder. Let me clear that before we go any further. Let me go to here. Right, so I've got this already on the quick access there. So this now is on the game side of Railworks. So you know, if I go to assets, you'll see all the asset providers. Okay, so let me go back to me there. Okay, add on, and where am I going? I want to go rail vehicles. I want to go electric. Yeah, there it is, the test vehicle. Okay, let's make sure. Yep, they're all in there. Okay, all of our files. So now let me bring up another window. Right, okay, and now we want this file there. So let me go into there. Let me find that electric class 700 test engine. Okay, and I want this folder there. So let me just copy that and paste it into here. So there we go, paste it into there. Right, so now hopefully Train Sim will see that, and hopefully that is it. So fingers crossed, we should be able to go into Train Sim now and it should work. So here we are, we're in Train Sim. Let me just select a route, and let's go for the Great Eastern, and let's go from Seven Kings to where I was born, roundabout Harold Wood, just down the road in Harold Hill. So there we go, that's our route. And now let's find our consist. Hopefully it will be here. There we go. Let's just whiz forward. Here we're 300s, 400s, we'll soon be there. There we go, 700, and there we go. Class 700 tutorial 8 coach. Here it is. So let's select it and let's see if it loads. So hopefully it won't take too long, but fingers crossed it will load, and we should find ourselves at I think I said Ilford station, didn't I? So I didn't check the time. So I don't know if it be night time or it's night time. It is night time. There we go. But it's loaded. It's loaded. Here is the cab. There we go. There's our Class 700 cab. Let's go outside. Oh, it's snowing. It's snowing. It's winter time. And there is our Class 700. And I'm sure if we counted that, we would see there are 8 coaches there. So it's done it. We're in Train Sim. Now the moment of truth. And I can't remember if I set my rail driver up, whether my rail driver is working. No, it isn't. So I'll do it manually. Let's bring up the pantograph. There's no animation there yet, and let's see if it actually starts to run. So let's put it forward and there it is. It's driving. So we now have a driving vehicle in Train Sim. Okay, and we can go back in the cab and let's just have a look. There we are. It's a bit dark at the moment because we haven't got any headlights, but there we go. It's driving, and we will now go on to put some of those systems in.